Okay, so today we're diving deep into this fascinating world
Yeah.
of GUI automation
Yeah, GUI automation.
and how it could like totally revolutionize how we work.
It really could.
We're going to be looking at research on Claude 3.5,
Yeah.
which is this AI model that can basically use a computer just like a human.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. One of the things that makes Claude 3.5 so groundbreaking is that it doesn't need any like pre-programmed software
Wow.
APIs or access to the internal code
Yeah.
of the software that it's using. It
Okay.
actually learns by just like looking at the screen.
Wow.
So that opens up like a ton of possibilities for automating all kinds of tasks in any software, even stuff that AI couldn't touch before.
It's like having an AI intern,
Yeah,
but it never sleeps or eats.
that's right. It just keeps working.
So we've got a lot to cover today. We're going to be focusing on how this technology actually works,
Right.
its real-world applications, and what it might mean for the future of business.
Absolutely. There's a lot of research out there. But this study from the National University of Singapore is particularly interesting. They put Claude 3.5 through a series of tests to see how it would perform in real-world scenarios.
Oh, so they're not just like theorizing about this. They're
Right.
actually
They're putting it to the test.
testing it out.
They call it computer use out of the box. Basically, they wanted to see if this AI could handle the same kinds of tasks that we do on our computers every day.
And they give it some pretty challenging stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they had it doing everything from basic web browsing to complex tasks in video games.
Oh, yeah, they threw everything at it. Imagine giving an AI a command like, find the latest trending song in Singapore and add it to my workout playlist.
Right. Could it actually do that?
Surprisingly, yes.
Wow.
It successfully navigated through Apple Music, found the trending song, and added it to the playlist.
So it's not just clicking buttons. It's actually understanding what you're asking it to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's demonstrating that it can understand and execute multi-step instructions, which is like a key skill for automating real-world business workflows.
That's incredible. Okay, so let's talk about how this technology actually works.
Okay.
What's going on under the hood to make this possible? How can it see and interact with a computer the way we do?
Right. So Claude 3.5 combines the power of those big large language models, or LLMs, with a unique vision-only approach.
Okay.
So basically, it takes screenshots of the computer screen, and then it analyzes those screenshots to identify all the interface elements, like the buttons, the menus, and all that stuff.
So it can tell what's what.
Yeah, and then it uses that information to decide what actions to take using the mouse and keyboard, just like a human user.
Wow. So it's kind of like teaching a computer to see the world the way we do through visual cues and interactions.
Exactly. But instead of physical objects, it's navigating the digital world of software interfaces.
Okay, and this is what sets it apart from more traditional automation, right?
Yes, this vision-only approach is what makes Claude 3.5 different from traditional automation methods that rely on specific code instructions or APIs, because it can adapt to any software environment, even if it's super complex or constantly changing.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But how well does it actually perform? Can it handle the nuances and complexities of, like, real-world tasks?
Right, well, that's the big question. The research team broke down Claude 3.5's performance into three key areas: planning, action, and critic.
Okay, so starting with planning.
Yeah.
Can it actually figure out the steps it needs to take to complete a task based on, like, your instructions?
That's really important for any automation system, right?
Yeah, it's got to be able to translate those, like, high-level goals
Yeah,
into a sequence of actions that it can take.
right. So how did it do?
Yeah.
It actually did really well, especially when they gave it clear and concise instructions.
Okay.
For example, they gave it a task like, find this product online, download its data sheet, and create a summary report.
Oh, wow.
And Claude 3.5 was able to break that complex request down into the individual steps, identify the necessary software applications, and even navigate through menus to find specific commands.
So it's not just clicking around randomly. It's understanding the intent
Right.
behind the instruction.
Exactly. It's figuring out the most logical way to achieve the goal.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's planning. What about action? Can it actually control the mouse and keyboard accurately enough to execute the plan?
Yeah, because a great plan's no good if you can't actually carry it out right.
Right. So was it like a fumbling bot, or did it have some finesse?
Let's find out. Claude 3.5 was surprisingly accurate with the mouse and keyboard, especially for basic stuff like clicking buttons and typing text.
Okay.
It could navigate menus, open applications, and even put data into spreadsheets with really good precision.
So it's not like a total klutz.
No, not at all. But it did have some trouble with tasks that need more like fine-grained control,
Yeah.
things like selecting specific text or interacting with those tiny interface elements.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's an area where they'll need to improve it for it to be like truly seamless.
Makes sense. I mean, even humans mess up sometimes with the mouse, right? Like misclick or overshoot.
Yeah, exactly. Precision is definitely one of the big challenges for AI and GUI automation.
Totally. Okay, so we've got planning and action down. What about the third part, the critic?
Yeah.
Can Claude 3.5 actually, like, judge its own work?
Right. Can it figure out if it's done the task correctly?
Yeah, that's pretty wild, right? It's one thing to follow instructions, but being able to judge your own performance, that's another level.
It is like having an employee that can not only do the work, but also do quality control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what did they find out about Claude 3.5's inner critic?
The research showed that it was actually pretty good at assessing its own progress, at least for the simpler tasks.
Mhm.
Like, it could tell when it clicked the right button or went to the correct web page or entered the right data.
Okay, so far so good. But what about more complex stuff?
Well, that's where it starts to hit some limitations. Sometimes it would misinterpret the visual feedback and think it had finished a step when it actually hadn't.
Oh, like how?
So say it had to open a specific file, but the icon looked similar to another one.
Uh-huh.
It might click the wrong one, but still think it did the right thing.
Oh, wow. So we can't totally trust it to work on its own yet.
Not quite yet. It still needs a little bit of human supervision to make sure it's not making any mistakes.
Like a promising new employee.
Exactly. Full of potential, but needs some guidance.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's switch gears a bit and talk about real-world applications.
Okay.
Where could something like Claude 3.5 actually be useful in a business setting?
Well, one area with huge potential is automating those repetitive tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Think about things like data entry from invoices,
Yeah.
updating customer records across different platforms, or even generating those standardized reports.
That would free up so much time for people to focus on more important stuff.
Exactly. It's not about replacing humans, it's about helping them be more efficient.
I like that.
Okay.
What else?
Customer service is another big one. Imagine an AI that can search through a company's knowledge base and answer basic customer questions,
Right.
or walk them through a simple process, or even troubleshoot common technical issues.
All through like a visual interface.
Right. That would be huge for companies trying to scale their support operations without sacrificing quality.
Totally. It could be like a 247 support agent.
Yeah.
Okay, so data entry, customer service. What else?
Testing and quality assurance.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine using Claude 3.5 to run through a bunch of predefined actions in a software program looking for bugs, inconsistencies, or visual glitches.
That's a good idea. It could test things way faster than a human.
Yeah, it's like an automated tester that never gets tired.
Okay, but what about tasks that need more like complex decision-making, creativity, or judgment? Can AI handle that kind of stuff?
That's a really good question, and it's where things get interesting. Right now, Claude 3.5 isn't really built for tasks that need a lot of nuance or creativity or common sense.
Okay.
It can follow instructions and do things based on visual cues,
Hmm.
but it can't really think outside the box or make those kinds of subjective decisions.
So it's more about augmenting human capabilities.
Yeah, exactly. Taking care of those boring, repetitive tasks and freeing us up to do what we're good at.
Like thinking critically and
Yeah.
solving problems.
Exactly. The future of GUI agents is probably going to be a collaboration between humans and AI.
Isaac.
Humans will still be in charge, setting the goals, making the big decisions, and dealing with the exceptions. AI will be like a powerful assistant, helping us get things done faster and better.
That sounds like a pretty good partnership. Okay, so you mentioned that they actually had Claude 3.5 playing video games.
Yes.
What was the point of that? And how did it do?
They wanted to see how adaptable it was in those complex and dynamic environments.
Yeah, video games are pretty different from like a spreadsheet, right?
Very different. They have all these non-standard visual elements interfaces that change quickly and unpredictable gameplay.
Totally. It's like a visual feast of constant change.
Yeah.
So how did it handle it?
It did surprisingly well. Yeah, they tested it on 2 games, Hearthstone, which is a digital card game, and Honkai Star Rail, which is a role-playing game.
Okay.
In Hearthstone, Claude 3.5 could create new decks of cards, rename them, and even use character-specific abilities based on what was happening in the game.
So it was actually understanding the rules and making decisions based on the game.
Exactly. And in Honkai Star Rail, It could navigate through menus, perform actions like warping to get new characters, and even complete a daily mission,
Wow.
including activating the auto battle mode to control characters in combat.
Wait, it was actually controlling characters in a battle.
Yes,
That's impressive.
it is. Now, it's not going to be beating any pro gamers anytime soon,
Right.
but it shows the potential for AI to help gamers with complex tasks, maybe even offer training or strategic advice.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But let's talk limitations again. We've mentioned a few things like accuracy and the need for human oversight.
Yeah.
But are there any other challenges that we should be talking about?
Absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is just the huge variety of computer interfaces out there.
Right.
Every software program, website, and video game has its own unique design, visual style, and way of interacting.
Yeah, even within the same type of software,
Yeah.
there can be tons of variation.
Right, so how do you teach an AI to be able to handle all that?
Yeah, it's got to be a jack of all trades.
Exactly. That's the million-dollar question, and it's something researchers are working on. One promising approach is to train AI systems on massive data sets of interface elements and interactions.
Oh, so they're exposed to as much variety as possible.
Yeah, the more they see, the better they'll be at adapting to new interfaces they haven't seen before.
Like giving a kid a huge box of Legos.
Exactly. The more pieces they have to play with, the more creative they can be.
Okay, so massive data sets. What else?
Human feedback is another important part.
Okay.
Instead of trying to think of every possible scenario, researchers are looking at ways for humans to guide the AI, correct its mistakes and give it feedback in real time.
So the AI learns from the experts.
Exactly. It's like an apprenticeship.
I like that analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so big data sets, human feedback. It seems like we're pushing the limits of what's possible with GUI automation.
Definitely. And as the technology keeps evolving, we're going to see even more impressive capabilities.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Claude 3.5, what it can do, what it can't do, and even its video game skills. But what does all this mean for the average person working in a business? Is this something to be worried about, or is it a tool that can, help us do our jobs better?
I think the big takeaway here is that GUI automation isn't some far-off thing anymore. It's real, it's getting better fast, and it has the potential to seriously change how businesses work. Claude 3.5 is just a taste of what's possible right now, and things are moving really quickly.
So it's not a matter of if, it's more like when and how.
Exactly.
So where do you see this going in the future? What kind of breakthroughs can we expect in the next few years?
I think we'll see big improvements in making these agents more adaptable and robust. Like we talked about, the sheer variety of interfaces is a big challenge. Future agents will have to be even more flexible, able to handle all sorts of software without needing someone to program them or step in all the time.
So like an AI that can learn as it goes, adapts to new interfaces, and figures out how to do tasks with minimal input from us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And to get there, researchers are exploring all sorts of new approaches to machine learning and AI.
Like what?
One interesting area is reinforcement learning, where the AI agent learns by trying things out, gets rewarded for doing things right, and penalized for mistakes.
So it's kind of like training a dog with treats.
In a way, yeah. The AI learns what actions lead to good outcomes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. What else?
Another exciting area is developing agents that can understand natural language, Imagine just telling your computer what you want it to do in plain English.
Yeah.
And it just gets it and does it perfectly across all your different applications.
That would be amazing. It would make computers so much easier to use for everyone.
Exactly, and we're already seeing some progress there with those large language models that can understand and generate human-like text. The challenge now is combining those with GUI automation, so the agents can both understand what we're saying and then actually do it.
That's fascinating. So it sounds like we're moving towards a future where AI is like this invisible helper working in the background, taking care of things, without us having to learn complicated commands or click through a million menus.
Yeah, that's the idea. And as these agents get smarter, we'll see even bigger changes in how businesses operate. Imagine AI agents that can analyze data, generate reports, schedule meetings, manage email, even create presentations, all while you focus on the big picture strategic stuff.
Okay, that's a pretty awesome vision. But it also makes you think about what happens to the people whose jobs involve doing those tasks.
Right. That's a valid concern and something that businesses and policymakers need to think about seriously.
Yeah.
As AI automation becomes more common, it's crucial to invest in retraining and upskilling workers so they have the skills to thrive in this new world.
So it's not about replacing human workers. It's about giving them the tools and knowledge to work alongside AI.
Exactly. The future of work will likely be a partnership between humans and AI, each doing what they do best.
Well, that's a pretty optimistic outlook. I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical details of Claude 3.5 to the broader impacts on businesses and the future of work.
Been a great discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I just say stay curious about these developments, ask questions, and get involved in the conversation about how we can shape the future of AI responsibly and for the better.
Absolutely. The future is what we make it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of GUI automation. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.